Way to a Great Marriage Cast. I'm Tony. This is LaRonda.
Hello. You were side goggled again. We got to get a new holder.
Yeah, I gotta get a new holder. Oh my goodness, that's really bad.
Hello.
Anyway, I'm Tony. This is LaRonda. She has one of Miss Oni's songs that she has prepared for us. And so I'm going to turn it over to her and let her sing or read one of her mother's songs that her mother wrote years ago.
Hi, everybody. This song is called God Can Heal. I don't know the tune. I'm so sorry. These last ones of Mom's, I can write a tune to it. I just haven't yet. I read about how God can heal if we pray and do His will. I read about His love and care, how He hears and answers our prayers. One day my loved ones looked at me. They saw the pain and agony. Then we prayed for delivery. God heard our prayers and set me free. That's true. That's true. With her back pain, it is. It's really true. I never shall forget the day Jesus took my pain away. His promises He keeps, you see. Now I'm shouting, yes, I'm shouting victory. Praise His name, He set me free. From all my pain, He delivered me. Now I'm happy, glad, and free. Hallelujah to the Lamb, He set me free. I remember that when that happened, Aunt Liz prayed for her, and the Lord took Mom out in the spirit, and she felt a hand on her back. You know, that happened to Mom. That she wrote that song about that experience.
Okay.
Yep. Yippers.
I was just looking. I was shocked whenever I pulled it up that we have 444 subscribers.
Yay! Thank you all.
It was like, I think whenever I went to bed, it was like 420 something.
Yay! We want to get the word out as much as we can.
It doesn't like it. It doesn't like being straight.
Well, it's kind of like it's not, yeah. There we go. That looks good.
Okay. We'll see what that does.
Sorry, guys. Technical difficulty.
Yeah. I need a $600 mic, and I need a,
If anybody wants to donate one to us, you can. We will not go against it.
Well, tonight we are still in the choice theory book. It's not a control theory or critical race theory. It's choice theory. It's the opposite of those two. Whenever he suggested, I was like, okay. But as I read it, I liked it.
Yeah, I like it too.
And so chapter 8, we are in chapter 8, which is in part 2 now, the practice. And it's on love and marriage.
Goes together like a horse and carriage. Sissy told us that last night.
And so I have some things underlined here. Hey, Bailey.
Hi, Bailey.
Hello, beautiful spiritual parents. Love you all. Love your shirt, Tony. Love loud. I guess
hey, mine says New York. What do you think about it?
I think this might be like a vacation Bible school shirt.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I found it at Forks at Dix River and claimed it. So as my
we love our T-shirts. Yes, we do.
In that, the first thing I have highlighted in this chapter is in that situation, all we have to do is come into contact with a person who is close to our picture of someone we could love. A picture we all carry in our quality worlds. If that person reciprocates, suddenly we are in love. Even if this picture is a fantasy and there can be no reciprocation, we enjoy the fantasy. That was the bad thing whenever I was in this addiction. I used to say fantasy is better than reality, but I love yours too, Mama.
Oh.
And we talked about last night. Tim McGraw and Kirk Cameron was somebody's quality life, and you don't measure up. Mine was, I forget who was in the last one. I gave up on having any. The last one was, you remember, in Austin Powers movie. That girl that was in
What the fro?
Elaine. No,
She had the fro.
no.
Oh.
Elizabeth Hurley.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Elizabeth Hurley
yeah,
was the last one that I had. No, I have. Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned her not on here, but to me.
Right, that was probably my last quality.
Wasn't she the one that played on Karate Kid? Elizabeth.
No, no, oh no, that's Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, you mentioned her.
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
Elizabeth Shue.
Well, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Maybe she might have been, but I doubt it.
I was my really last what I would call crush and thinking, oh, it'd be nice is Tom Selleck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason you married me, because I have a hairy chest.
Yes, that's the reason.
And so he was the last person to make that popular. That was not popular.
I know. It still is to me.
And so what happens is then you've heard about that you put the person on a pedestal and then you knock the pedestal out from underneath them and then they break.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens is we fall in love with somebody with somebody, but the person we're with isn't the person we fell in love with. It's the danger in doing that. So we need to realize that that's what we're doing. It would help you to know what the quality person is in that person's life. If you want to get in their life, but I wouldn't encourage you to go about it.
No.
Fantasy loves are rarely a problem. It is our tangible loves that often don't work out. In the beginning, it feels so good. You remember we talked about this in Love is a Choice? We had found...
For like 5 seconds, it feels good.
Yes, we had found a person who we seemed to be able to get very close to. We're twinsies.
Twinsies!
And it was exciting.
That's my word. Mine and Donette's.
I thought it was Donette's word.
No, it's mine and Donette's.
My first and only celebra.
Who was her celebra?
I don't know.
Oh.
Elaine, okay.
Oh, maybe it was Tom Selleck. I don't know.
Crush is Shermar Moore.
Oh, yeah. He was on Young and Restless.
Oh, he was?
Okay. Yep. And then he went on to that NCIS, I think, or something like that.
Was it the black guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with the bald black guy.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The closeness was partly sexual, but it went beyond sex. We had found a person who not only accepted us the way we were, but they accepted what we were trying to be. Whatever it was, if we wanted it, he or she wanted us to have it. It felt good to be with someone who, unlike most of the other people in our lives, did not judge us or want to change us. The world took on a rosy hue. That's another thing I've heard.
Rose-colored glasses.
That you're wearing rose-colored glasses.
Yes. Sissy uses that phrase a whole lot.
You're not seeing the reality. You're wearing rose-colored glasses. No. With this person, we would relax and we laughed together at everything. It was fun to learn about someone who seemed to care for us without reservation. The more we learned about him or her, the better it felt. We had found someone with whom we could share our quality worlds with. No fear of rejection, ridicule, criticism, blame, or complaint. It is with willingness, even eagerness, to share your hopes and fears that define love. As long as you do so, you have a very good chance of staying in love.
That's right.
If you can't do this freely in the beginning, no matter how much it feels as if you are in love, your love is weak.
Yeah.
A weak love may be based more on hormones than freely sharing, and it will not last.
That's true. Every time.
I thought it was describing you in there, and then it was going to say, avoid that person. But
no,
that's what we want.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I have highlighted is, from the beginning, you can make a pact to share a great deal of what is in your quality worlds and never criticize or complain about what has been shared. And so, then skipping on down to the next thing I have highlighted, when there are differences, as there have to be, the longer you know each other, you must work them out to stay in love. When you can't, you are no longer in love. Without choice theory, when there is disagreement early in the relationship, instead of understanding that it is based on a real difference in your quality worlds, you may revert to external controls psychology and try to make your partner change.
That'll never happen. I promise. If you think you're with
Well, some
somebody that
people
can change,
go into the marriage thinking, well, I'll change him.
that's true.
or
Or
well,
yeah.
I don't know of any guys that were like, I'll change her. Maybe, we'll put her on a diet and
No, not doesn't have to do anything physical.
or we can give
it's
her
mental.
a boob transplant.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. No, but I don't think it's physical that they're talking about.
Right.
The change is in someone. Oh, I can make him do this or make him do that, or
Right.
maybe she would do this for me or love me in this way that I've never been loved before. If that person doesn't love you in that way, they're never going to love you in that way. I promise.
Right.
You cannot change someone. I mean, like he said, you can, if you're too heavy, then you can diet, or if you're this or that, if you got a small chest, you can get a boob job, but that's not what it's talking about.
Well,
it's not talking about that.
In Christian circles, we have this bad thing going on where that we dating evangelism. Where we date people to evangelize them. We can get them in church
to change them,
and then they will get
lead them to the Lord.
They will get saved,
yeah.
and then we wind up marrying them, and then we are unequally yoked. But anyway.
Yeah, my first marriage, I told him, I said, I will never get married unless you accept Jesus as your Savior.
Well, and the bad part of it is, who wrote The Battlefield of the Mind?
Joyce
Myers said that Dave wasn't a Christian when they met, and so she did that. She did dating evangelism.
Yes.
And so it worked for her, so she encourages it. But
it didn't work for you.
You can date, but you
don't marry them.
I misunderstood. You don't marry them. You can date them, but
I will marry you and lead you to the Lord.
And as guys do that, we want to rescue.
Damsels in distress.
Yes, we want to come in and be the knight in shining armor. By the time they see us, we have dingy armor and riding
a mule.
A mule, I guess.
A swayback mule.
Let's see. Sissy said, unfortunately, the dating evangelism works the other way around. Now they convert you.
They do. They do.
You stop going to church.
Exactly.
Yeah. Elaine said that doesn't work. The Christian always get hurt, in my opinion. And so she agreed with Sissy.
Yeah.
And so finishing out this that I have underlined. These early attempts to force the other to change are well expressed in popular sayings. The honeymoon is over. The honeymoon is over.
Can I say something? I think the honeymoon.
Well, yeah, I mean that's why you're on here.
I know.
I'll just do this without you.
I think no, you won't. I think the honeymoon only starts when you get to know one another. It's not a honeymoon at first. It's really not to me.
Well, probably the first 5 years they say that you're most marriages are actually fighting over control.
They are.
Who's going to be the dominant person in the marriage, and so you have to go through that first 5 years in a normal marriage to realize who's the dominant one, and then the other one meant that they have to submit, and
But for me, as a Christian,
but that's not a marriage, like you were saying. We were saying, if somebody makes all the decisions, then that's a dictatorship.
It's a dictatorship.
If sometimes they go with your decision, and sometimes they go with their decision, then that is equal.
Give and take
That's
with
a
each other.
marriage,
Yeah.
But if you find somebody that's always, they never take
Their way or the highway.
their way or the highway, or a dictator. They
But
never
now, for
listen
me,
to
as
your
a
input.
as a Christian woman, if you're out there and you're a Christian woman, then you know God's first, then the man, then your husband, and then you, and then your children. You know that. So I would never want to usurp authority over you if you're a Christian woman. If you're not, have at it any way you want to. But now, if you're going to go by the Bible, that's Bible.
And the Elaine said, "Don't do it without her. Are you going to sing the songs by yourself?" She's convinced me that I can sing.
He can.
The next thing I have highlighted is to make this change. She would have to admit that the only personal behavior she could control is her own. That she had no control over what Kevin chose to do. In other words, he's talking about a client, and she's married to Kevin, and she's trying to control Kevin.
Yeah.
We must be willing to make the difficult admission if we are to use choice theory in our lives. And so that's coming out of denial. Coming out of denial that control isn't going to work.
Nope, it's sure not.
Trying to control the other person is not going to make the marriage work. No matter how hard you try.
I don't care how hard you try.
Let's see. The next thing I have underlined a couple of pages over, and it is choice theory. People don't get so frustrated. They focus on doing what's best now and know that the only people they can control are themselves.
True.
And so you work on yourself, and that's why that I read all of these books. I worked on myself because I couldn't work on the other person.
No. And what I love about this book was at the very beginning, in case you all wasn't on here, is there was a circle, and the husband and wife got in the circle, and they wouldn't allow to step out of the circle unless they said, "Can I step out of the circle tonight?" And I will step back in it tomorrow. I loved that.
Right.
I loved that.
Right, and that's really the meaning of don't let the sun go down on your anger or your wrath. A lot of people, will not. Well, we've got to stay up all night and hash this out until we come to a meeting of the minds.
I have been like that before.
That won't work because you're tired, and that makes you angry and irritable,
and you can't think right.
And you can't think.
Yeah,
you're better just saying, "Hey, let's take a break on this conversation. Pick it up tomorrow in the morning." I learned that from Brother Charlie. I called him like at 11 o'clock one night, and he said, "Well, it's rather late. Let's just talk about this in the morning." Whenever I was talking, there was one of the guys I was working with that had gotten in trouble with the rehab that we were trying to do. What they are doing now, this is the core of a choice theory marriage, is thinking before they do anything that may lead the other to choose to move away.
Right.
There are only two ways people move away from each other. They resist or withdraw, fight or flee. To prevent fight or flight, which is the beginning of the end of any relationship.
Yeah.
Whenever they have a problem, they ask themselves, if I say or do this right now, will it bring us closer together, or will we end up further apart?
Right. and sometimes you don't know. If you strike up a conversation with someone, sometimes you don't know if it's going to help. Now, anytime I come to Tony with something, I pray about it. Lord, tell me the right thing to say, unless I come at it emotionally, and then it's not good. But if I come at it with saying, Lord, help me with this, and help me know.
And that's where I've tried to teach you that you don't vent on your spouse.
No.
That's what your friends,
your best friend,
your support groups, your sponsor, and your accountability partners at Celebrate Recovery are for. Is to vent on one of them.
Exactly.
Then after you've vented, then you come
and prayed,
and you talk to your spouse about it.
I love that.
But women have a different view of that. They think that each other, they will do that. They will vent on each
They
other,
will.
and then they're bestie friends after
Yeah, yeah.
that. And they do not engage in nagging, criticizing, complaining, or put downs to try to control the other person. Even those who have used external control psychology all their lives are well aware that these all too common behaviors harm any relationship. If you want to stay close, we do not have the luxury of using them. And they're basically abuse.
Right.
It's why they're harming the relationship.
Right.
Because to
I
control
agree.
somebody else, you have to abuse them to get them to allow you to control them.
Exactly.
The next thing I have highlighted is they talk everything over, and if something has any chance of harming their marriage, they don't do it. As a married couple, they now know that it is no longer how what one spouse says affects the other. It is how it will or could affect the marriage. Skipping on down to the next highlighted section.
I think somebody said something at the bottom. I can't see it. So.
I'm always in fight and flight mode, and I hate it. Elaine said.
Yeah.
And your background, it makes that understandable.
Yes.
It makes you a little jumpy. It's probably a little PSTD.
Yeah.
They understand that when they make a choice in favor of the marriage, it may not necessarily be the choice either of them would make for himself or herself if they had not married. But they are married, and it is reality, and it is not the same as being single. But they also work hard to understand each other's needs for a life outside the marriage. There are obvious sexual and social restrictions on that life, but within those restrictions, they do not have to be Siamese twins.
Right.
Twinsies.
Twinsies. That's me and Donette, not me and you.
But I'm sure that's some predators they go about and they try to get the person to think that they are their twin without saying twinsies.
Yeah,
they will everything they say. Oh, really?
That's my favorite.
I grew up there in a small town too. To a middle class family, and I had a next door neighbor that was a businesswoman. Anyway.
Okay.
I couldn't resist. Sorry.
I know.
Each will bend over backwards not to resist the other from having a life separate from the marriage to the point of encouraging each other to do so. The next section is abusive marriages.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm surprised you've not got the whole thing underlined.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't have anything
that's
underlined
surprising.
in it. I think I know all about that.
I guess you think you do. They don't though. You may need to read something else.
Okay. The next section is structured reality therapy, marriage counseling. Destroying marriages is the crowning achievement of external control psychology. Once this psychology has taken over a marriage, the best hope to overcome it is the kind of counseling that offers the couple a chance to move their marriage from where it is into the solving circle.
Love the solving circle. That was what they called it.
Once the marriage is safely inside the protective circle, it is immune to the cancer of external control. But to be effective, the marriage counselor must be tailored specifically to the needs of the relationship rather than to the individual needs of each partner. In most instances, the partner in a failing marriage are not themselves failures. We all have friends and relatives who have divorced, but who individually are competent. A large number of these people are even competent enough to succeed in a subsequent marriage. When they do, it is because unknowingly, uh, most of them have learned enough choice theory to avoid the mistakes of their previous marriage.
Yeah.
But this is a haphazard process, and many continue the same control and ownership and fail again. If these competent people have been offered these structured marriage counseling, I will now explain while they were still married, I believe many of these marriages would have been saved.
I think so too.
In this choice theory based marriage counseling, the counselor takes on an active role and asks specific questions and make requests to each partner in turn responds to, or the counselor will fail. Number one, are you here because you really want help, or are you here because you have made up your mind to divorce, but want to be able to say you tried to get help,
That was
or to be
my
able to say
situation.
it's their fault, or
That was my situation.
a lot of times people will go to counseling to get help from the counselor to help them control the other person. And unfortunately, like a lot of marriage counselors, because their goal is to preserve the marriage, they will move the one that is movable,
Right.
which is the one that is being controlled.
The weakest.
And
Yes.
so they will use that control to make the weak one bend the knee
Yeah.
and go along
Yeah.
with what the controller wants to make the controller happy and keep the marriage going. Number two, very briefly, what do you believe is wrong with your marriage? He's a control freak.
Is that what it says?
Number three, whose behavior can you control?
Your own.
Yes, and
Nobody else's.
Number four, tell me one good thing about the marriage as it exists right now.
Well, for us, the marriage as it exists right now, we've been through lots of turns and crooks, and since we've been married almost 5 years, and I think for me, now this is just my opinion, not Tony's, that we have worked through a whole lot of hard things with kids and with us, and that our marriage is in a place, I think, that we can come to each other now. What do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you in agreement with that?
Well, we laugh and have fun.
And if we've got a problem, we can come to each other.
But it's about concentrating on the positive. Like I always tell people about, Hearts Alive. He would have us or Reformers Unanimous. He instead of taking prayer requests, we wrote our prayer request on a piece of paper and submitted it, and he prayed over them. But then we could tell the group what good thing happened to us that week, rather than being negative with a bunch of
what good happened. What good happened.
Right, and so you want to concentrate on the positive.
Right.
What do you guys have that's good? Let's go from there. Let's build on that.
Exactly.
Number five, think of and then tell me something that you are willing to do this coming week that you believe will help your marriage. Whatever it is, it must be something you can do yourself. It must not depend in any way on your partner should or should not do. Number six, during this coming week, are you willing to try to think of an additional thing besides what you thought of here, and then do it following the same I can control only what I can do conditions as in the previous question. In other words, think of one right now, do it this next week, think of another one this week and do it as well.
Gotcha.
In answer to question one, if both parties are able to say they really want help, then the counselor has a chance. If they are not able to convince the counselor that they want help, the counselor has no chance.
No.
Counselors should not try to help couples when both are not committed to seeking help. Individual partners seeking help for themselves is not marriage counseling.
No.
I've been told that.
That's
before,
single
too.
counseling.
I know, I've been told that before.
Yes. You went and somebody else was supposed to and didn't.
Right.
That's happened. Yeah.
Right. I can't see you because they're not here. This
Right.
is marriage counseling, it's not single counseling.
Right.
But anyway, the purpose of question 2, in which one or both partners invariably blame the other, is to be able to point out later in the counseling that this is the external control and it is always destructive to the marriage. If only one partner blames the other, the situation I've never seen the counselor will be even easier than if both blame the other. In this situation, the counselor must monitor each partner's responses to prevent this Pandora's box from opening into a rancorous outpouring of accusing, blaming, criticizing, and threatening, because that is what most people who come for marriage counseling expect to do and want to do. They want to vent. Following external control psychology, they both think they are right and both are looking for the counselor to support the position. Their answer should be restricted to a few short sentences. If their answers are left to run unchecked, they will destroy the counseling effect. The purpose of question 3, whose behavior can you control, is to lay the groundwork for the essential questions 5 and 6 to something positive, to do something positive at home. This is not a hard question after the outbursts that are the answers to question 2. What's wrong with the marriage? It should be obvious to each partner can control only his or her own behavior. Request 4 tells me one good thing about the marriage is difficult. Both partners are so into external control psychology that this request comes as a complete surprise.
Yep.
The counselor should be patient here and keep fending off their initial statements, which will be what the other needs to do if the marriage is to be better. If you and it becomes awkward if you allow a moment of silence more than 5 seconds, count to 5.
Yeah, really. That's with anybody.
You have a tendency, whoever responds first loses. So you as a counselor, you don't want to be making suggestions.
Yeah.
In the end, most couples, let them come up with it on their own.
Right.
Most couples will come up with quite a few things they are still good about the marriage. If they couldn't do so, they would not have come for counseling.
That's right.
As they talk about some good things, most of the anger and the blaming will drain out of the session, and it should be smoother sailing from then on. They will be surprised by what they say, but these are not positive surprises. Request 5 is just an extension of request 4, but it gives the partner something new to think about and build on, and thus is very important. And also, they're kind of counseling themselves.
They really do.
They're working on their own marriage.
As in counseling for me, sometimes I wouldn't have to say anything. They would actually do most of their own counseling.
Again, the counselor should be patient, and they will come up with something positive to be pleased that they have. They will now leave the counseling session with something specific to focus on instead of the bad marriage. It gives them a little hope, and because it is so different from external control psychology, it is very powerful. Request number 6. Asking the partners to come up with an additional helpful task during the week gives them another positive focus to look forward to. Of course, the controller is going to be like, "Did you work on your assignment this week?"
No, I forgot.
I will.
I'll get
It's
it.
not the end of the week yet. It's just Monday. Anyway, if they do it, fine. If they just do request 5, the marriage is still well on its way to getting a lot of help. Both 5 and 6 give them a lot to talk about when they come in for the next session a week later. If toward the end of the first session the partners are much more uh, amicable in their interest in what has been going on, has replaced the anger that they came in with, this is the time for the counselor to explain the solving circle and to point out that they are now in it, because the lots of times one or both of them will become dependent on the counselor to
Right.
discuss everything.
Right.
Make to anytime a problem comes up, then they want a referee.
Right. Exactly.
And to point out further that whenever they talk about their marriage, they should make sure they are in the circle, or else what they talk about has a chance of becoming external control and destructive. And so that concludes that highlighted section. I highlighted the whole thing.
You sure did.
Several pages.
You should have just went down through the book.
Right along the side.
Yes, right along the side.
The next thing I have highlighted is if a marriage needs extended counseling, I don't think it can be saved.
100% true.
Yeah. If this has to be an ongoing thing
Yeah.
for years, but if we don't see any change after the first few visits,
It's not going to.
it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going to go anywhere.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so that draws us to a close of that chapter.
Power on.
And so I encourage you. I believe that Sissy and Elaine gave us a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
They liked so
us.
We followed their example. Elaine said, I took off my glasses. Mama LaRonda is my unpaid counselor. It almost looked like Myrna instead of Mama. It looked like the second M was an R and an M.
Oh,
That's how
Myrna.
bad. Myrna.
Myrna
LaRonda.
LaRonda.
So that's why I had to
It's
put
like,
on my
oh.
glasses.
I didn't know that was her first name.
Sissy said sometimes one of the partners has already given up because before they started counseling.
Yes.
That's why that's first question is are you really here for help? Are you really going to do the work, or are you just here, so you can say, well, I tried everything I can, or it's all their
That's
fault.
exactly what
my
my
fault,
situation was.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah. My very first husband, which we are very good friends now, but he said, he just went. He just went for me. He didn't go for himself. He just went for me because he thought that was helping me out. But all in all, it didn't help me out at all because it was.
Well, to deal with what he did to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was just how that one went. Like I said, we've made amends and we're friends now. But
well, I mean, like my friend Bad Billy. I mean, he was never going to change.
Never was.
He always had to have this what he called strange every now and then. And,
Yeah.
And his wife put it up with it for years. I don't know how she did, but maybe she had girls' night out. But I don't know.
She might have. I don't know.
But that's just some people won't.
They don't want to
change.
change. No matter what.
Then ask questions, make comments.
Yes.
Sissy and Elaine
Thank you, girls.
commented. If you ask a good enough question, we may make it one of our waycasts, and so I'll challenge you with that.
Yep.
Subscribe, not only here but also on
Who's ready to rumble?
on Rumble. There is a chance, they kick people like me off of YouTube every day.
Yep.
For telling the truth about Molech and Pharmakeia.
Yep.
So, we will instantly start doing it live on Rumble if that was to happen. And so you will want to subscribe over there so you won't miss a beat.
And the Waycast, one word, or if not, you can't find it, under Tony Ball.
Then share. I pinned to the top of the Waycast the channel against all odds. It's a great evangelistic tool. I ask that you share that with the people that you they might come to mind that don't know the Lord as their Savior. Pray before you send it that they may be receptive, and then send it to everybody you know that doesn't know
Yes.
the Lord as their Savior. And then hit the ding-a-ling
Ding ding.
in your life.
Ding ding.
And,
Notification bell.
so that you can come on and harass us live the next
Yes.
time we're live.
Yes.
And so with that, we say,
We say
I don't know if this turned up.
Good night, until we meet again. Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, till then.
And though it's always sweet sorrow to part,
You know you'll always remain in my heart. Good night, sleep tight, and blessed peace to you. Here's a wish and a prayer that every dream comes true. And now till we meet again. Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.
Good night.
we love you.
And don't ever forget, you are truly loved. And with that, we say good night. Good night, Sissy. Good night, Elaine. We love you guys.
Show hit songs and fashions through the years.